Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BandLab Plus Coffee. It's time to wake up, wind up, and queue up with another excellent track. Today, we've got a band on BandLab. That's right, a full band. Brand new track from MuseMine with In Your Eyes. So without further ado, let's get to it. To the left! Go point up, you up, go point up, you up, go point up, you up, go point up, you up. Brand new track from MuseMine over here on BandLab. We've got at MuseMine 2023 MuseMine 2023. The description shows us a few of the members that are part of this track. Some of these members' names you'll recognize, some you might not. At off_S OFF_E SSE at Hey Myzik HEY_MYZAK at Miss Makaya MSMACAYA, and at I Am Not Doink Boy, who we just recently saw on BandLab Plus Coffee. I believe at Crypt Keeper 2023 is involved as well. So let's take a listen. 41 followers. They deserve more. I love me some good vocoder. Where are my lyrics, MuseMine? Goodbye winter. Frozen crystals melt away.
In these waves we all sing along.
Dun, 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 dun. Really great Owl City vibes from the old works like Oceanized, the album with Fireflies. I love me some good la la las. I just call them woes. I call everything woes. That plucky synth. Dun, 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 dun. There's the Owl City synth in the background. It feels like it's over here on my left, and it is sublime. Oh, now it's in stereo. Great panning, moving everything out of the way. Great job.
Out on your own, found you swimming alone. The ocean
Good synth that's matching up with the melody. Do, do,
home,
do,
a place you called your own. A thousand sparks.
The percussion is muted and it drives us along.
In your eyes.
Nice. Great stop on all those instruments minus the synth. Really gives us some good dynamics in that track.
Getting closer, but I barely
I don't know how you're not, like, in your pajamas flying over the ocean in a dream when you listen to this.
us that they barely know us as they roll their eyes at us so casually.
Your parents told us they barely know us as they rolled their eyes at us so casually.
In these waves we all sing along. Parchment logs our days, and we all sing till we fade away.
All smiles for these laws. All smiles. In a good old-fashioned fade. Now, how cool is that, huh? Come on. That was the embodiment of taking something you love and putting it into your own music. There are a lot of reasons that we make music out. And I would say that one of my favorites is because my bands don't do it anymore. Now, of course, Coco Moon was just released by Owl City, but I know that a lot of us, especially as millennials, we long for the days of Fireflies and Sky Sailing and even Adam Young's projects previous to Owl City. This is the embodiment of that kind of 2003, 2004 as pop music is figuring out its place and its transition into this new era of sounds and synths. When we get these bedroom pop hits that are usually heavily auto-tuned, backed by vocoder or some other form of vocal synth, although at the time Isotope didn't have a vocal synth program, but now we do have cool things like that. So you've got these artists like Imogen Heap or Owl City, Adam Young, or A Love Like Pie, who are doing these things with autotune and synthesizers that people just weren't really doing in their bedrooms. So from that came the rise of people like the Ready Set and Breathe Carolina, who took those and turned them less into lyrical journeys and more into musical journeys. And then we brought them all together in those bands like Ash Cat, The Ready Set, Breathe Carolina, Owl City. Those people then started writing music for some of these huge pop hits that we hear these days. Even people like Ryan Tedder, who in One Republic started out recreating beats on a really old computer as a younger dude. He is writing was writing some of the biggest songs in the world for Beyonce, for Leona Lewis, and people like that. So the way that music sort of comes full circle and gives us this opportunity to reference some of our favorite bands and create something completely new from an idea of something that we completely love. It has been 20 years since the release of this kind of music. To me, it's the same thing as growing up in the 90s and telling my parents, oh, Journey is so old. Journey is so old. Bee Gees are so old, right? Well, Journey and the Bee Gees are the same age to me as this kind of music is going to be to my kids when they're a little bit older, which is just insane to say. So I just love how music comes full circle. Rant over. 2 things I love and 1 thing I want more of. The first thing I love in here are these vocals, the way that we vocode or auto-tune or both or vocal synth, whatever we're doing here. Really huge fan of. I wish we had the lyrics though. Lyrics next time, guys.
We all sing along. Parchment logs our days, and we all sing till we fade away.
You ready? Because this next part is my favorite part of these vocals. So appropriately atmospheric. And you'll notice that these vocals in the la la la's are much more wet. They have more reverb than the verse, but they're not so wet that it takes over everything. So keep in mind, you can use reverb as a special tool. Most producers I know on the punk scene are barely using reverb on vocals at all. They're recording them in a space, which creates a natural reverb, and then they just are sticking mostly with delays and sometimes adding some reverb to a chorus. But if you want really clear, crisp vocals, turn down your reverb and then bring it in special moments that create ambience or create a full picture of your sound the way you want people to hear it. Just remember, if everything's special, nothing is. So keep that reverb low so that you have somewhere to go. Love those vocals and how they did them. I want to know how they were processed because I know it wasn't BandLab. The second thing I love about this track is this synth here, especially when it goes stereo. Let's see if I can find it. Yep, it's over here. And then it goes stereo. It's a relatively simple synth, but these kinds of art are what give us that nostalgia vibe because we know we've heard this somewhere. Where have I heard this? Where have I heard this? Oh, yeah, Owl City's Ocean Eyes album. And what's really great about that is you're creating something that's completely new. But because of the reference to the other stuff that makes it recognizable, you're instantly drawing in an audience of people who understand what that sound means. That sound means something to people. So when you use these kinds of sounds in a completely new way, right? We don't infringe here. But when you use these new sounds, or rather old sounds, in a completely new way, you get these totally new ideas. So here it's this synth, this Adam Young synth. Very uplifting, very snappy. And it's not just this. You'll notice this a lot on Taylor Swift's 1989 album, where everything is washed out and verby, but she's bringing back like 80s drums and 80s sounds. A lot of artists are bringing back the 80s. But specifically, you draw in an entire crowd of people because they're used to these sounds. Lots more moms and dads listening to 1989 album because they recognize those are my drum kits, those are my synths, those are my pads. They might not realize it, but somehow the music resonates with them on a feelings level in the same way that this does with these ARPs. So that is the second thing. If there's one thing that I want more of, I think I want a more saturated vocal. This vocal is so good. This vocal is so good that I think it needs some separation from the mix. I don't know if maybe it's a little thin, and we just tried to turn it up to compensate for that instead. Believe me, this is mixed well, and I like it a lot. I'm just trying to talk my way through what I'm feeling about the vocal. The vocal, being one of my things that I love and one of my favorite parts of the track, deserves its own space as a synth. So I think I just want to hear the ocean looks so deep. Maybe some varied layers. Maybe some of these synths get a filter on them just slightly at the range where the vocals sit to make them more prominent. Maybe we double them with harmonies, like more harmonies. Because I can hear the harmonies in there. But maybe we just need a human voice. So maybe we need a layer of the dry vocals that's not vocoded or sauced. And we fade that in slightly to create a thicker, more natural vibe that goes with this vocoder, at least to give it a little more presence. I guess you could also really lather it in saturation, like this a warm tube saturation that might give it a little more presence. One of the things I like to do, and on BandLab, we'd have to go about this a different way, but you totally can do it, is create an aux channel or a send, whatever it's called in your DAW, where you add a real workhorse compressor like an 1176, and then you add maybe some saturation and EQ to that so it doesn't overwhelm, but then you kind of fade it into the mix a little bit to create a thicker mid-range. That is something that I like to do on my vocals. But I do really think maybe some saturation or distortion on the vocal. Maybe the vocal's just too clean. Maybe it needs just a slight amount of distortion to bring it out. You called your own, 1,000 sparks overhead all ignite in your... So good. So good. That would be my only ask or thought. And even then, this is so great on its own, it doesn't necessarily need it. That's just kind of what I'm feeling. What a great track. In Your Eyes by MuseMine. 2023, a band here on BandLab. 41 followers so far. I think all of y'all should go follow MuseMine. I have a feeling a lot of great stuff is in store from this band. Okay. So make sure that you do that. You should also make sure that you follow DJTatious on YouTube, BandLab, or wherever you choose to consume your social media. Leave a comment down below. What were two things you love? One thing you want more of? Leave a comment of what song we should do next. Just let me know you were here. I love it when you guys talk back. And we We'll see you